It wasn't self-contained within the game. So you could play the game and be like, "Oh, that was neat." But what was really going on? Did
Yep.
you see the movie? Did you read the comics? Did you
Right.
watch the YouTube videos?
It
Did
it's
you, it's like,
it's the
gosh,
Halo effect. Once Halo went into like heavy important lore in the novels and offshoots and comics, it's just like nobody
yeah.
knows what's going on anymore.
What
Yeah.
about a Final Fantasy Tactics remake or remaster? Because that game in and of itself, I think, is one of the all-time greats of Final Fantasies, and it doesn't exist on PC right now. You have to go and use like Android emulation software to download the Android version, which I've done. But I think a true remaster HD 2D, like whatever they wanted to do, like even if they just did a flat out port to Steam, I'd accept it. But I think Tactics would be a beautiful series alongside Chrono Trigger to really help, kind of refresh that series overall. We haven't seen
100%.
a new entry into that. We saw Triangle Strategy. I don't know if either of you played that game.
I
I think it's
didn't.
incredible. Like it's incredible. And I think eventually, like as because I picked it up on Switch, I think it's now out on Steam, and Square Enix is starting to slowly support GeForce now. They're doing it with the Octopath Traveler games, so I might be purchasing that game again, so I can actually kind of play it a little bit more everywhere. But yeah, I think that'd be cool.
I know people want that. I think in November of 2023, they were kind of saying nothing's planned, but I feel like, that's got to be one of the IPs they're just sitting on, whether it's a remake or a new entry in that style of game, because there
Mhm.
is an appetite for tactics games. We've
Yeah.
seen that a lot over the last years with indie games and more mainline IPs. So,
And there was like a follow-up to Tactics on the DS, right? It was like the
Yeah,
A2. Has
Tactics Advance and A2. So there was
what
two follow-ups on the
w okay, so have
handheld.
either of those been re-released at all?
No.
nope.
See, like they could do a Tactics collection, test the
Mhm.
market, how well does that sell, and then do a new entry. Like I don't understand why they don't prioritize as safe as the industry has been with re-releases and remakes.
Yeah.
Square is just not capitalizing on the things that just would make them some bank, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
Agreed. Now, speaking of things that we just don't understand, this is a good way to talk about Xbox. I see online this week, Jez Corden had kind of some Discord conversations. All the games are coming to PlayStation, and so much more. Where do you guys fall within this? Because for me, just to kind of summarize it, is how are people still surprised? I've been saying this for years. And then I think there are just some people who are just like, Microsoft's going to pivot. They're going to go back to like focusing in on exclusivity, and that's going to save the Xbox. It's like, no, they view any screen as an Xbox, and they're going to put games everywhere that they physically can be put.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel?
Yeah. I mean,
Once they said that they were a platform, like the software, Xbox is a brand, as a platform, not a piece of hardware.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty obvious what they meant.
yeah. I haven't been surprised about anything for the last 2 years. I'm at the point where just rip the
Yeah.
cord, put everything over. I'll support. Like I would love to play Halo on my PlayStation and my Switch. You
Yes.
kidding me? Give me
Yeah.
that.
Inject new life into Halo Infinite by bringing over the millions of
PlayStation
PlayStation
players,
players.
and watch how the Xbox tax is all of a sudden, oh, this game actually was good. Bring Starfield over and watch how all of a
Look,
sudden
look,
it's
look who
not
the
a
top
crap
players,
game.
the top selling games on the PlayStation Store were when Sea
Xbox's
of Thieves.
game.
Like, it's like, come on, like, just
And the
they need.
Metacritic score, right? And this
Mhm.
also shows that it's like like obviously, yeah, and it's that over on an Xbox as well. But
Sure.
because the studios don't re-review games as
Yeah.
like updates
Yeah.
and stuff come out, then you end up having that kind of curse that is kind of like dragging you down in the long run.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I feel like, Microsoft's messaging at times hasn't necessarily been the best. I'm always like, why don't you just be more honest, right?
honest, just direct. Just be
But like,
direct.
because the whole idea of like, oh, we want the save the box itself, save the hardware. You know, if you look at the numbers, just the economy of the gaming industry, the Western market is slowing down, and gaming hardware, consoles specifically, are maturing. So there's not a lot of growth there. All of the growth and profit is happening in the East, and it's happening on cloud gaming and mobile gaming. So that's why all these companies, like, I don't want to play my games on my phone, but that's why a lot of these companies are like exploring ways to deliver these popular brands on those devices, is because that's where the growth is. So, I 20 years from now, I don't know what gaming hardware looks like globally. I don't. Maybe it's all on TVs. Like
It is.
I
It's just going to be an app on your TV for the vast majority of people. It already actually is an app on your TV if you have a smart TV with GeForce Now, for example.
Well,
You
not,
just
not
turn it
even
on and there's your games.
Yep.
not even cloud streaming aside, because I mean, I think it's a perfectly viable way to enjoy games, but with the performance we're seeing from ARM based architecture,
Mhm.
like there's no reason a smart TV wouldn't just be able to run,
Yep.
Xbox games, PlayStation games in a few years. Like I think
Yeah,
it's right
mobile
around the
phones
corner.
as well. Like you could end up
Yeah,
having that. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's just going to be a whole different landscape.
I
mhm,
do think Nintendo was very smart, and I don't know if I imagine they thought about this, but knowing how the market for hardware is slowing down, they consolidated their handheld and home
Mhm.
console market with the Switch. To your
Yeah.
point about ARM processors, these basically smartphone system on a chips, they're getting so advanced. I wouldn't be surprised where in the next 10 years you don't start to see like a Microsoft hardware device that's does that
mhm,
in a way, or a PlayStation device as well, right? Like there's been rumors about a new PS Vita, which
mhm,
makes me happy, but like why not there be a future where that's the case, where the performance is such parity between just docking it and taking it with you? Because
right.
that is a way for these companies to grow their market too by having that new use case. So I mean, I could see that happening, but I do think we'll just go more towards just cloud gaming.
But even beyond like cloud game streaming, because like, the use case is there. It is like there are obviously still hurdles and internet isn't available to be able to support it, worldwide yet. But that
Yeah.
is just a function of time. But the other thing a lot of people miss in the conversation from a technological perspective, and I think any of us in tech can recognize this, cloud compute. It's a
Mhm,
matter of that they can offload, they can offset various different processes. So you can actually either have a cheaper physical hardware. Yes, it's going to require the internet, but you can also, from just a form factor and cost, you can offload that cost into a server farm where then you can, in a way, you're subsidizing that. So you don't end up having, and then that scales as hardware goes. So you don't find yourself physically locked into like, well,
Yeah.
we made this call, 5 years ago, and it's going to be another 2 years, and we're kind of have to deal with it before the next generational shift happens.